In these life-serving podcasts, Bhashkar Perinchery answers questions from everyone seeking pragmatic and effective solutions regarding emotional and energetic challenges, holistic health, and the inner journey.
Any questions in anyone who is participating from here or participating from elsewhere?
Do you have any question? Questions can be asked over Spotify or can be sent as voice message over the podcast webpage.
Anything is keeping you busy, preventing you from just being with the flow, with the moment, and you have the feeling to confront it and open up more, then this is a possibility.
Sometimes, I don't know how to say, sometimes so in my life, sometimes I'm in a situation where certain people do not consider, for example, my needs or my situation, and they say in a way, yes, we can understand it, teilweise, but it's not really considered in a way. So when they go over, I don't know how to say, borders, or when there's a lack of sensibility in certain moments, and sometimes I don't know how to deal with it because I mentioned it, and of course I can also see expectations in myself, and I also can see I also ask myself, do I overreact or do I see it too seriously in certain moments? I also question myself. This is,
It's a fact of our life. We don't know what is with anybody else. Just like you feel that they are not sensible enough to understand your situation in a deeper way, maybe when you give them a chance to see what do you see, how do you feel, what is your understanding, then they may maybe make a little bit window open and show you that, oh, I'm hoping that you understand my situation. And this is the human dilemma, because we are so much used to focusing on the other, expecting from the other, which is at a certain stage of our development natural. We don't have often the perspectives that there is something more, something deeper required and possible. So as you become capable to see that in this game of duality there is always the two, the other and the me. The other is so many different people, different backgrounds, different expectations, different perceptions. You cannot tell anybody to understand you the way you understand yourself. And even the funnier side of our story is that not only that the other don't understand us the way we want it, when we look more carefully, do we understand ourselves really deeply? Then you start seeing how delicate everything is, how fragile the whole situation is. And that is why it becomes very necessary, as I often have been mentioning, to consider everybody sympathetically, compassionately. Doesn't matter what the other person is. Good, bad, special, ordinary, the most horrible person, the most fine person. But consider sympathetically. Because considering sympathetically means two things. One thing is that you are not following your judgments. You are not following your automatism. Just by remembering not to follow the judgments blindly, you are de-automatizing yourself. You are giving yourself the room to open up and to see other factors which are involved in the moment. And the second thing which happens together with that is that your life energy is prevented from getting overtaken by the automatic reaction process. That means your energy does not go automatically into a negative state. You can watch that also, this pull, this tendency, and also the power of having the feeling that I am right. You can observe all this. And then you start seeing more and more, because as you stay with it long enough, then you also see how everybody is so fragile. Everybody is in their own way helpless. Even those who feel so strong, so powerful, who seems to say that I have everything in grip, you know, when you look more carefully, that in this life process which is so mysterious, where everything is changing and moving rapidly, it's a nice illusion to believe that I have everything in grip and we don't need to disturb anybody's illusions unnecessarily. Let them have that illusion. But when they start suffering and they start asking, then you can say that, oh, life is a little more than how it appears. It is our chance as a human being to recognize that we cannot change the other, and that should not be our priority. Once this becomes clear to you, then you start bringing the attention completely to that what is happening in you. And as Jonas was mentioning, that it looks that there are expectations and the other things which are working, is also critically looking at it. But it's not a question of critically considering it alone. It is bringing attention to the more structure, the basis behind these expectations. And that is where you will start seeing something very basic. There's a very beautiful statement from J. Krishnamurti, where he says the conflict is between what is and what should be. A very deep, insightful statement, very true, but most people cannot start with that, because yes, everybody may agree with it, yes, possibly, yes, but what to do with this statement? And this is a valuable indication to look at the situation more deeply, but you have to proceed further with it. You have to look. What is the basis of this expectation? What is this conflict between what is and what should be? What is this, what should be in our mind? What is our concept? What's our expectation? And this is where you have to bring in Buddha. As I have been telling some of you, that it's a little statement in the history book in India. When I was still just entering the college, we had in the Indian history 3 lines about the Buddha, Gautam Siddhartha. Because he was also the son of a king, so it was in the Indian history coming also like that. It said Gautam Siddhartha, the son of the king of Kapilavastu, as this part of India was called at that time, sought after the truth. and realize that desire is the root cause of sorrow. There was not much more. Just one line they had sneaked in somehow. But it's kind of touched something in me, provoked me to inquire, is it really so? Is the root cause of suffering always the desire? So I started observing in my own life what desire is there, what expectation is there, what wish is there, what longing is there. In all those moments where there is some kind of unhappiness, disappointment, suffering, pain, I started looking, what is my desire in it? What is this part? And as I continued to observe and look, at some point I had to say, yes, Buddha is absolutely right from my experience of it. Because you can see that there is always this I who want it. I am so and so, I like it like that. This is how it should be. And this is the perfect thing. This I would like to have. Oh, this will be horrible when that happens like that. There's always this expectation. The conflict between what is and what should be. And that is connected with the desire. Of course, many people who are with Krishnamurti in a fanatic way, they will not be even happy with it. I am mentioning Krishnamurti in this way because they say everything Krishnamurti has said, now nobody need to comment on it. But many of them are sitting on these words without questioning more deeply. So they are irritated when somebody is bringing attention, because some time back I was bringing about one talk on J. Krishnamurti's teachings. There were very mixed reactions. Some were appreciative that I could create some bridges for their understanding. But some were saying, how can you speak about Krishnamurti? Krishnamurti can speak about himself. He had been speaking enough. Who are you to speak about it? So people are into proving they are right and their interpretation is right. And so very few really go deeper beyond this right and wrong, into questioning, into inquiring. That is why the most important thing in your inner journey is honesty towards yourself. Am I really confronting things which are there? It's not what you make anybody believe. It's not what others say about you. It doesn't matter. That's not the main thing. Are you ready to face everything without trying to cover up anything? What I say, are you being ruthlessly honest with yourself? Dora always laughs when I say this because she has heard it many times. And I remind that this is the basis. This is what makes you capable to become clear and free. Because when you are not trying to hide anything from yourself, the inner conflict disappears. You are not trying to put on a show. You are not trying to find explanations to blame anybody. You are not trying to defend anything. You are ready to see everything what is working in you. The whole idea of the I, me and mine, the identification, the personality, the wishes which are connected with it, the fears, the calculations, the settlements. And you have to go on looking from moment to moment. It is not something that you look a little bit sometime and it's done. No. Every moment your energy is going in one direction or another direction. Understand it very carefully. The life energy is not static. Every moment life is bringing new energetic process in you. And if you are present, if you are seeing what is going on, you can prevent it from getting overtaken by the automatism. You can take care that your life energy is not getting caught in negative processes. And as you are not suppressing anything, but you are also not indulging in the negative, you start seeing. You start seeing more. You start seeing much more. That is where you become more and more spontaneously compassionate to everybody, including yourself. Because you see how vast and mysterious this life process is and how fragile everybody is. Once you realize that we are all here in a small excursion, we come with nothing, we go with nothing. Whatever we achieve or lose, okay, it's like in a dream. But in the end, we have to leave everything and go. So once you are aware of it, why make it so hard for each other? Why go into all kind of blind reactions? Why go into bringing pain and suffering to anybody? Why go into hate and anger? It's all misunderstanding. That is why I tell those who are ready to consider that don't go into revengefulness, don't go into hatred. Don't want to punish anybody, because punishment is coming from a certain kind of understanding that you know what is right, and by bringing the other the pain, you are having a feeling that you are doing the right thing. But most often, it's coming from a revengefulness, and it's coming from your hurt feeling, it's coming from misunderstanding, and the other is only pushed more into this feeling of guilt and blind condemnation, and not helped to see what really is. What is that what has been wrong? Why is it that it has to be questioned? So rather than punishing in a revengeful, hateful and condemnatory way, the person should be considered compassionately and helped towards seeing, understanding. Of course, it's not all that easy, it's very clear. And sometimes you have to take actions to prevent people who are in a destructive process from going more into destructivity and harming others. So all this considered, the response has to come from compassion. The response has to come not from hate and anger and bitterness or disappointment and revengeful feelings, but through understanding, through seeing all this in you and not following these tendencies, going deeper. That is why I say that when people are taking care to bring consciousness into their life, they will start becoming good. They will start becoming spontaneously more human. They will be able to understand themselves and each other more deeply. That is why it becomes a quality of peacefulness in their life. Because they see that in this wondrous process of life, we are here, and we are here because this ungraspable intelligence, this mysterious, playful, creative basis of life, whatever way anybody calls it, God, Allah, Ishvara, Great Spirit, Tao, whatever way it is indicated, these are all words. And it's very important to come behind the words to the reality of it. And that is what happens when we are bringing the attention to ourselves, bringing the attention to all that what is in us. And this is very, very important. And this is the way you prepare yourself to not fall into blind reactions. And that is what awakening is. Awakening is not a certain kind of halo somewhere and you are sitting in this halo and blissful and all that. No. That is an aspect in the whole process, that when you are honest, when you are being with yourself, when you have nothing to fight against, when you are not caught in the idea of being separate from the whole, naturally there is joy. Naturally there is compassion for everybody. Deeper understanding towards everyone. That is why, with all your challenges in life, bring the attention to that what is taking place undercurrently in you. Yes, the expectations which you find, the I which you are identified with and holding to. Because that is where your attention has to come. That is where you have to see and see through. Let anybody be what they are. You cannot change anybody. Even though it is really beautiful when others are understanding and friendly and really supportive, yes, we would wish that. But the reality is that it is in others' unlovingness that we are provoked to look more and awaken to our reality. That is why I say, always remember, you have friendly friends and unfriendly friends. And you need both. Friendly friends are beautiful when they try to understand you, they take care, they are not criticizing you and judging you and putting you down in a box. So you feel easy, you feel comfortable. But others who criticize you, others who are not understanding you rightly, others who interpret it in their own way, you have to learn to live with that. You have to learn to see that that is how they are capable in this moment to connect to the reality. So take, in this sense, 100% responsibility for yourself. Let anybody else be the way they are. And when it comes together and there is understanding, it is beautiful. But don't make that a condition for you to be joyous. Don't make it a condition for you to be loving. Don't make it a condition for you to be peaceful. And once in this sense you take the responsibility and go deeper, you will see that life is helping you in so many ways. That is where you start seeing that in every step the divine compassion is there. Life does not punish anybody. Even when in certain moments we feel punished because we interpret it that way. It is just like when we go carelessly with some elements of nature and, for example, we go carelessly with the fire and starts burning everything. It is not that there is somebody punishing us, it's because we are not trying to understand the nature of the reality, the nature of the fire in this case. And we as a human beings have the capacity, and when we understand it rightly, also the requirement that we use this capacity, use this possibility of consciousness to see the interconnectedness of life, the way nature is and the way we are part of this nature, part of this wonder, part of this mystery. That is when you realize that you are at home. The home is not somewhere else. When you are not caught in any kind of blind, unconscious entanglements, you are here. And that is the basis to feel, experience, and awaken to the truth, to the divine. So when you don't want to go from this life without awakening, This is the direction. We had a few days ago a beautiful conversation. That is what I am referring to. Because Jonas was telling, just while he was about to leave, I don't want to miss in this life the possibility of awakening. Yes, that's beautiful, that's very valuable because it's so significant. But it's not something which we force, it is not something which we manage, it is something which we can allow. And life is supporting us, don't forget it. Even when in those moments where everything looks so difficult, so hard, so impossible, just remind yourself, it looks like that, but I don't know. Be with your ignorance. Yes. Socrates was putting it like this. I know only one thing that I don't know. And if you look deep enough, you will come to realize that all our knowledge on which we make all the judgments is a very relative process. In reality, we don't know. We use the knowledge and we work with that in the world. It is relevant, it has to be used, but deep within, you have to become alert. That this relative knowledge, which is for the practical functioning in the world relevant, is not the basis to understand and experience the reality. That is why the word awakening to the truth is often used. It is not a new knowledge that you are collecting from anywhere. It's not an effort to become more clever, more into collecting information. It is when you go beyond the automatic projection into being with the reality. That is the meaning, the mirror-like consciousness. So, carefully move in this orientation, and life is supporting.
A lot more questions to be answered.
Right after this.
You are listening to the Life Surfing Podcast on Spotify.
Participate in the Life Surfing Holiday Seminar to learn the art and science of joyously surfing on the waves of life, 16 to 31 August 2024. Register now via email and phone.
More info in the podcast description. Register until June 30th to get 20% off.
Did you already know that besides the life surfing seminars, workshops, and talks, you can also book individual sessions with Bhashkar directly in person or over Zoom?
For that, please contact Noria under the email address or over the phone 0497617 09665. In case you want to write an email, you find the email address in the podcast description.
Welcome back to the Life Surfing Podcast. We continue with some more questions.
Any other? Yeah?
During the conversation, I had some connection to it. And first of all, because you mentioned when you witness that you're going in negative trend with your mind or body, and then I connect also to this allowance of awakening. I think you were mentioning that something that should not be managed, but should be allowed. Awakening in this life. I do see two parts in me that are contributing as they can. On the other side, I see that due to fear or due to how they got programmed, my mind and my emotions are functioning in a way that is really not making it happen. So of course, yes, witnessing, it seems to be good to manage. On the other side, there is some frustration because I face sort of polarity trends and polarity emotions and feelings, status of, like recently I feel that I have been able to see behind certain fears and certain attachment, that my mind was really pushing me to be fearful, not courageous enough to go behind. Yeah, but still, yeah, it's like going on vacation with a car that has always flat tires, and the only way to get there is singing and changing the new cars. Because if you get annoyed to it and you have maybe this expectation and desire to be fluid and fluent, this is really misleading. But it's tough because I have a lot of desire of how I can be very good performing. And yeah, I just wanted to share that frustration, it's very there. And witnessing I don't know.
With the car, it's easy, we can change it. But with what is happening inside, we have to, first of all, look at it and see what it is. And you use the word witnessing. It's a very valuable clue. Again, bringing J. Krishnamurti once in his way of putting it, he used one expression, choiceless awareness. Because the mind is into choosing, one against the other, judging, categorizing, labeling. When you are not going into the choosing, you are coming to yourself, you are coming to your center. You let all that what is there come up. You are not going with it, you are not going against it. And in this way, a new comprehensive way of perceiving the moment becomes available to you. Otherwise, you are only projecting through a tunnel. This is how it looks, and you have your past, your labels, your standards and values, and then you categorize and say, this is so, this has to be like that, and so on. But when you are seeing all this, also this conflict, one side pulling in one direction, another side pulling in another direction, the fears and the whole anxiety connected with it, and the desires on the other side. See everything, so that you become capable to see what is possible, what is not possible, how nature is working in us. It is like, as it is said also in the biblical teachings, that what you sow, you reap. If you put your desires and give energy to it and go into it, then it will pull you into a certain direction. But maybe that's not what is bringing you the kind of clarity and fulfillment that may disturb so many other things. So you have to see, what is it that you want? What is your priority? What is possible? And it's not trying to change yourself, it's not trying to blame yourself, it's not calling yourself right or wrong, good or bad. It's just being open to see what way life is, what way the nature is manifesting. And this is what we need to become aware of. That is where we have to allow it all to become transparent to us. And that becomes possible when we are not interfering. So choiceless awareness or mirror-like consciousness is all indicating to a way of connecting to the reality where you are present, you are very wakeful, you are deeply here, but at the same time, you are not interfering, you are not trying to change anything. So this quality of consciousness is an undercurrent basis. And then go through life with this basis of presence and go on responding. That's why I use this expression, life surfing. Because the surfer is standing on this surfboard. He has only a small sail and he's at the mercy of the wind and the waves. But he has accepted it. He's not into fighting, oh, why this wind is coming like that? Why the waves are so horrible like that? He has seen the situation, it is so. So he learns how to play with it. And then once you have become familiar, you see that people are going with a sailboat without a motor, with the same principle all around the globe. So it is a necessity for us human beings to learn not to go into blind automatic reaction process, especially when it comes to negativity. Then you can see what is possible, what is not possible, what leads to where. And we are having that responsibility to take decisions, make the moves. But when we are looking at all these interconnected factors and see that, okay, I am the actor and I am also the director. So, what do I do? That is when you start seeing the nature of our reality. You start realizing that it's an interplay of different factors. And in the given situation where you are in, accepting it all, not letting your energy get trapped into any negativity, go on answering. Because there are others involved in your life. It's not just only you. So you have to look, when you take certain steps, what it means to the other. And when you want to include the other in your journey. When there are connections where others are involved who are depending on you. So you cannot just be irresponsibly saying, I leave it all and go. So you accept the situation. And at the same time, you don't play into the victim role. You see, what is my answer in the middle of all this? And that is how you accept yourself, you accept life. And through the awareness, an inner transcendence becomes possible. Because deep within, you see that I don't cling to this nor that. And a moment will come where you have to leave everything and go. When you are aware of that, when you are aware that that is how life is, So you become more graceful. You're not blindly clinging and say, I want it, and if it's not happening like this, it's horrible. You don't go into this extreme blind clinging and reactions. And that is why awareness means you are seeing all that what is connected with it. And then a moment comes where you see that it's an adventure. It's a journey of discovery. It is a playful, loving, blessed journey we are in. But that we will realize as you continue to go deeper. And that is why our part is to bring the awareness to all what is taking place. Being a friend to oneself, and at the same time being also as critically, wakefully, but looking at everything. It is not a criticalness to blame and to put down and put yourself as good or bad or special or ordinary or this kind of judgments. It is just being ready to confront the whole reality. And that is what I mean when I say that this basic deep honesty is the most valuable requirement when we want to become clear and free. And as you proceed, you see, feel how life is supporting. It's not supporting the way we expect it, perhaps, but in the course of the journey, you will see that life is giving us what we need, maybe not what we want. And very often what we want is just coming from our conditioned idea of how things are and how things should be. Whereas when you look with distance, you see that, oh, sometimes we need to be shaken up. Sometimes a little shaking up is what helps us to observe and see and understand the things the way they are. So sometimes it's a friendly, easy, comfortable situation. Sometimes it is difficult, challenging, problematic situation. And whatever life brings, be ready to face it wakefully and gracefully and celebrate. Any other question or anything else in anyone who is participating from here or from elsewhere? When no other questions are there or nothing else is there, you sit the next 20 minutes with the remembrance to stay wakeful and present to all what is, whatever is there, pleasant, unpleasant, comfortable thought, uncomfortable thought, whatever feelings, whatever energy process. Don't identify with it, don't try to change it, don't try to hold to it. In this way, be like a mirror, which is mirroring everything and not interfering. That with this kind of orientation and wakefulness, we sit the next 20 minutes with closed eyes.
The Life Surfing Podcast will be back next week. In the meantime, make sure that you're following us right here on Spotify.